Hey, Pastor, it's Richard with 24 to Double, and I've got my partner and pastor, Jerry Lawson, on the call with you today. What we're going to talk about today is this idea of how to grow your church from the inside out. I wanted to call this Everything You Know About Church Growth is Wrong, but Jerry was like, hey, I think there's a more positive spin to put on that. So, Jerry, thanks for being with us today.
Hey, doing great, Richard. It's good to talk to you, man. I'm excited to talk to some pastors who are eager about growing God's kingdom.
6 years ago, when Jerry and I started working on 24 to Double together, I was watching one of the trainings and I heard Jerry talking about the 80-20 principle, or when you have 100 people in your church, you probably have 20 people that are serving. You're always going to have 20% that are serving. But then he put a twist on it and said, now here's the thing. If you do have a 100-person church and 20 people are serving, if you can get 20 more people out of that 80 to start serving, your church is going to double. Not only that, it's healthy growth because it's growing because of systems.
Yeah, so here's the thing that is so frustrating. I grew up in a denomination that sings incredibly well and the preachers preach unbelievably well, but the churches are small. And a lot of you pastors can relate to that. Like you've been to a church like that, or maybe you have a church like that. And our thinking is, when we want to grow, we want to reach people. I know that I am called to reach more people than I'm looking at on a Sunday. And I know that. And so if it's not happening, if the church isn't growing, then I'm always thinking, well, I have to preach better. I've got to get a better sermon. I've got to deliver better. I've got to work on that. The singers, the musicians, the flow of the service has got to be better. And if all that's clicking, then maybe the facilities or something like that. But the truth of the matter is, I know churches that don't do that too awesome, but they're growing. And it's because they have awesome systems. Like they really have a culture where they trust these systems, and these systems absolutely work. Let me give you this, for instance. You could look at any church and you look at your church this Sunday, find out the total attendance, and then go through, or have someone go through and count how many people are actually serving this weekend. And what you're going to find out is, for every one person serving, there's 4 more people there. Or take the total number of people serving, multiply by 5, that's going to be your attendance. There's no question. And so what we're doing so many times is really not the smartest way to grow the church and to grow God's kingdom. We're thinking about how to add people to the church. If I preach better, if we invite friends, if we go out there and get a billboard, or maybe we get a better social media presence. Those are all important things. We teach that in 24 to Double. Those are important things, but that's growth by addition. When you grow from the inside out, that's growth by multiplication. What I mean by that is that when you're growing by taking someone off the pew and putting them in the seat, off the seats and into the game, like they're serving, they're giving, they're going, it's a part of them, then that church grows by 4 more people. There's some weird synergy to it. I mean, it's just a fact. Data over and over proves it. There's some kind of a strange synergy that them talking about it. And instead of it being the preacher's church or your church, now it becomes my church or our church. And those are the people who give. Those are the people who serve. If you want to go out in the community and do some kind of an outreach, those are the people who are going to respond and do that outreach. And so the fastest way to grow your church is to get people out of the pew and serving. That's growing through systems, growing from the inside out. So I'm in my 19th year of pastoring. And so right now I'm reading your mind, Pastor. I know what you're thinking. You've got a case of the yeah, buts. Yeah, but you don't know my volunteers. They're not excited. Yeah, but they're not talking to people. Let me just tell you this. The next growth of your church, the next great leader of your church is the next volunteer that walks through that door. Your whole church, every weekend experience, every word out of your mouth has got to be focused on the newcomer, that next person coming to the doors. You can build momentum in them. You can get 100% buy-in in them. And so that's why we teach at 24 to Double, we teach a 1-step on-ramp, 1 step. And we call it Pastor's Breakfast. And it is tried and true. It's worked in churches, tiny, large, rural, city, international. It's working in Latin American countries, working all over Europe right now. It's the Pastor's Breakfast, and we'll teach you how to do it. But essentially, 1 week after they've come through the doors in worship, we want them in the Pastor's Breakfast. And it's a connection. It's not go to this class, join this church. It's, hey, I'd love to get to connect with you a little bit. I'd like to get to know you a little more. And from that one-step growth track, we put them right into ministry. Think about it like this. When Jesus wanted to change the world, he didn't go for big crowds. He went for disciples. One at a time, he put people into ministry. And he didn't go to the seminaries or to the Pharisees who claimed to know the scriptures. He went to the average guys. He went to a thieving tax collector. He went to some rough guys out on the shores. And he called them into discipleship, and he said, come and follow me. He didn't say, come and go to a 13-week Bible study class, or come and go to seminary, or come and go to Sunday school. He said, come and follow me. And so he had a one-step on-ramp, got him right into ministry. So we legitimately believe that someone can come to your church on the first Sunday of the month, and by the second Sunday of the month, they're in pastor breakfast. And then the third Sunday of the month, they're serving. And see, what is amazing, and I don't have a lot of time, but there's all kind of metrics that I could bring and tell you about that. But what is amazing is that generates enthusiasm and excitement. And that person who's new to your church, they're going to have a much greater opportunity to invite family and friends than the person who's been there 10 years. So that's what we're talking about. When we say grow the church from the inside out, there is literally people in the building or visiting you for the first time this weekend. If you can get them serving, get them on-ramped quickly, it's going to explode, not add, but multiply the attendance of your church.
So what is 24 to double? Well, 24 to double is a step-by-step plan to double your average weekly attendance in just 24 months. Pastor, instead of bringing your team to another conference, we're bringing the conference to you. If you get involved in 24 to double today, here's what you're going to get. You're going to get all 25 modules of the 24 to double training. We're going to teach you how to build 7 teams you need to grow your church. Those teams include outreach, wow, shock and awe, worship team, follow-up, children, and small group. Jerry and the 24 to double team have made it incredibly easy for you to bring your leaders together and build these teams in your church. Imagine what your ministry experience is going to look like when you get these teams built. What if you had someone leading an outreach team, Pastor? That's a team full of people that focus on one thing, getting more people in your city to visit your church. Each month, you're going to bring your team together, watch a module, and take action. You're also going to get access to our Gifts and Passions test. Now, this test is specifically designed to get people in the right places in ministry to make sure they burn with passion and don't just burn out. Because, Pastor, we all know volunteers don't go backward. They go away. You're going to get notes from 8 of Jerry's sermon series. He's great at preparing sermon notes. You're going to get 8 sermon series, Pastor. That's 34 individual messages, including the messages you see here. We're doing that because we know you're going to take valuable time to kick the tires on 24 to double, and we wanted to be able to give you some time back. You'll get access to our live Q&As. These are live monthly Q&As with Jerry and the 24 to double alumni. This is probably my favorite thing that we do. Here's one big lesson we've learned from that. There are a lot of you doing ministry alone. Pastor, nobody should be alone on this journey. You're going to get 3 bonus modules. The Church Facelift Lab, the Worship Lab. No matter how you worship, this lab will help you go to the next level. You're also going to get our Pastor's Breakfast Lab. In this lab, you're going to learn how to get people out of rows and onto those volunteer teams. Finally, you'll get our team meeting agenda. Pastor, we're not asking you to make a 24-month decision on 24 to double right here. In fact, if you did that without talking to your team, that would just be foolish. What we are asking you to do is to call a meeting. We've even created a 1-hour meeting agenda for you with a message from Jerry to you and your team. In that meeting, we're going to encourage you to answer some pivotal questions like, how are we doing at being the church in our community? Really? Pastor, getting your team on the same page about how you're going to reach your community, that's priceless. So you're going to get the 24 to double training, the Gifts and Passions tests, 8 sermon series with 34 individual notes, live Q&As, the bonus modules, and the team meeting agenda. That's a total value of $5,998. But you can kick the tires on 24 to double for 15 days for just $7. Then if you decide to move forward, it's just $99 a month. So go ahead and get started now. You can do that by going to 24trial.com or just click the button on this page to try 24 to double for 15 days for just $7. You're even going to get an email from us in 12 days that says, get out. Because, Pastor, we want you all in or we want you out. We all know that's what it takes in ministry today. Bold pastors who are all in, right? Here's our 60-day promise to you. For 60 days, we've got a money-back guarantee, no questions asked. If 24 to double is not right for you and your church, just let us know. We'll refund your entire investment. There's no contracts, and you can cancel anytime. So head over to 24trial.com now, or just click the button or the link on this page and try it for 15 days for just $7.
By the way, pastors, I started my church in a rural town of 491 citizens with a tiny seed group of about 75 people. We are now a 5-campus megachurch. These systems work. All right. We didn't have anybody to help us. We didn't have a parent church, no infusion of cash. Literally, these systems will work in small towns with not a lot of money, with not a great population. And as I've said, it's working in bigger cities where some of our campuses are now. It works, and we'd love for you to try it.